Sharkbite sat, intentionally spaced between the other clan members. He wanted nothing to do with them. It was better he was alone, for their sake. She coughed, clearing her throat and making sure to let out a hum for a voice check, standing up, using the help of her hind legs. Sharkbite watched the leader push herself up onto frail limbs. He tilted his head curiously. Little cats old enough to lurk in the shadows gather around the shade rock for a clan meeting, she meowed, voice booming out as she waited for the clan to set their attention on her. Sharkbite padded forward, only slightly, keeping his distance. Tigerkit excitedly sprinted into the clearing. Tundramask, they squeaked, running up to his dad. Hey, little one, the Tom remarks. You ready for today? Due to the death of our deputy, Crossfeather, which we are still looking into the death of, I will be addressing a new deputy, she blatantly said. She turned her head to the left, blinking slightly before setting her eyes on a particular feline. Tundramask, do you swear to uphold the name of Shadow Clan, protecting the clan through thick and thin? Sharkbite adjusted his gaze to the large, ivory-colored Tom. He didn't think much of it. Tundramask's ears perked up in response. The Tom hesitated for a moment, a bit taken aback from the leader's choice. However, he nods. I will do my best, Juniperstar. Very well. Then take your side beside me on the Shade Rock, as our new deputy. She nodded curtly, a small smile appearing on her face, hoping she made the right choice. The tomcat dipped his head in honor, stepping to the rock with a smile. Swiveling her head back to the center of the clearing, she sat down, preparing her voice. As for our kits, it is safe to say it is your time to stand up and become apprentices. Sharkbite looked at the group of kits. He was uninterested, but stayed put out of respect. Mantis Kit, you have proven you have reached the age of apprenticeship, and I am proud to announce that your new name will be Mantispaw, she smiled, looking down to the red-pelted kit. And you, Tigerkit, have shown your determination and have also reached the age to become an apprentice. Your new name will be Tigerpaw, she coughed, almost forgetting that part. She coughed, shifting her gaze towards Maplekit. And Maplekit, I am honored to give you the name of Maplepaw. Sharkbite stared. This leader was a mess, doing the ceremony out of order and dismissing the kit's achievements. Maplepaw, your mentor will become Leafstorm, whom will teach you the ways of the warrior. She directed her nose towards the feline. She let out a gasp and turned her face to her new mentor, relief filling her body as they didn't seem too scary or mean. She touched her nose gently. Tigerpaw, your new apprentice will be Adderglow, whom will show you how the way of the warrior works, pointing towards the black and orange pelted cat. Adderglow got to her paws, petting up to her new apprentice. She gave the young cat a smile. Tigerpaw eagerly wobbled over to Adderglow, touching noses with her. Sharkbite looked. That was the new deputy's kid, right? As for, the rest. Mantispaw, your mentor will be Paledrift. I expect great things to be taught to you. An obvious lie, but she had to be encouraging. Alright then, clan dismissed. Please turn to your dens and rest, for a new day begins for all of us. Sharkbite glanced around, watching as the cats walked away and left gaps in the clearing. Sharkbite looked at the Calico Tom who failed to leave. He couldn't say much. He himself hadn't even moved.
Fallen said nothing, but nodded his head for Shark to follow as he padded off.
Sharkbite looked over at the full warrior's den, before standing and humoring whatever Fallenbranch had wanted. Do you regularly sleep in here? Sharkbite mocked, waiting for whatever Fallenbranch had to say.
I see something in you that I see deep within myself. A hunger. Unfazed, he continued on. An ambition. A drive. I also see how your clanmates look at you. I see the distaste in your eyes as you watch the authority before you. I can offer you what you so desperately seek.
Isn't it normal to resent a cat for being above you? He traced his claws through the dirt. What is it you're convinced that I'm wanting?
A change in authority. A shifting of tides of sorts. He flexed his claws as he spoke. I can offer you the power and purpose you've desired.
What have you possibly done to have the credibility for a claim like that? He flashed his teeth as he spoke, a silent warning.
Do you think the disappearance of our deputy Crossfeather was a coincidence? Isn't it suspicious that no one knows what became of our dear deputy?
Sharkbite's whiskers twitched. He had nothing to reply to that with. The clan had been torn apart trying to find a cause for such a brutal death. Something about the way Fallenbranch carried himself, his relaxed demeanor, his confidence. He had no doubt what this cat said was true, but suspicion still lingered in his head. What would it take from me to secure that spot next to you, when you finally gain what you're looking for?
A slight grin showed on Fallenbranch's maw, the first real emotion he's shown at all. Be ready when I call on you. He then stood and left, saying nothing more.
Sharkbite lingered for a moment, processing. He then carried himself to the warrior's den on heavy paws. He padded in, stepping around the sleeping cats and settling in a den in the back. Sharkbite eventually stirred as the cats around him started to wake. He wanted to get out of the den before too many cats noticed he was there. Sharkbite watched the cats start to fill the clearing. Another day, but for now, he was seeing things a bit differently. He carefully watched the way they interacted with each other, the way they lived. He stayed behind. It was a better view from where he sat.
The Tom appeared in silence next to Shark.
Sharkbite's ears flicked towards the smaller Tom, a tell that he noticed him approach.
In a lower voice, quiet enough for just Shark to hear. See Tigerpaw and the mentor Adderglow. They could be of great use to us. Keep an eye out for them.
Why them? Sharkbite sneered. He saw nothing special about Adderglow.
Not the mentor, but the child. The current deputy's child, to be more apt. We will need a way to use the child, so offer friendship to the mentor and Kit. See if you can gain their trust.
Sharkbite thought for a moment. Simply having an apprentice had given this cat Fallenbranch's attention. He nodded a silent agreement. Adderglow, he exclaimed roughly. I would like to patrol with you.
He watched silently from afar, his expression giving nothing.
She turned, perking her ears toward Sharkbite. Oh, sure. The more the merrier, if it's okay with the deputy. Perfect, Sharkbite hummed, sitting patiently. Patrol's dismissed. He dips his head towards Adderglow in approval. More cats would be helpful anyway. Whoa, you're Sharkbite, right? You're so big! She dipped her head at the Tom, moving out with the patrol. He followed, scoffing at Tigerpaw's comment. Tigerpaw quieted down a bit, self-conscious. How about we check the carry-on place? It would be good to show Tigerpaw why we don't hunt there, Sharkbite suggested, trying to get a paw in their training. She nodded, quickly jumping onto Sharkbite's reasoning. Exactly! Ha! Let's go. Wow, what's those over the water? Two-leg rubbish, Sharkbite blurted. This land is littered with crystal-like shards that can slice through your fur. It's dangerous, not to mention the rats. Oh, yuck, he said softly. The carry, she had stated, though was cut off by Sharkbite. He looked up to Adderglow. Maybe he was more suited to train this cat. She frowned a little, but shook it off. Maybe she was just too slow. Make sure not to go over there, Tigerpaw. Not unless you need to. They sniffed the floor. Yep, that's gross, all right, they spoke confidently, like they had authority on the matter. Something stirred in Sharkbite. I forgot to speak of something to Juniperstar. Continue the patrol without me. She dipped her head. We'll see you back at camp, Adderglow mewed. Juniperstar? He piped. Looking at the tree-covered skies, she turned her head downward to meet Sharkbite's face. Yes, Sharkbite? I have something to discuss with you, if you don't mind. Of course, come speak to me in my den. We can speak of this without interruption, she nodded, standing up, turning and patting away. I wanted to speak on your choice of mentors for Tigerpaw and the other apprentice. He couldn't remember their name. My choice? I find it well, she excused, raising a brow. Don't you want your clan to be fit as possible? Should something bad happen to you? He blinked. Leestorm and Adderglow have already mentored an apprentice, meaning they are candidates for deputy. Wouldn't it be better to hand those apprentices off to the senior warrior so there's more choices for deputy? Sharkbite sincerely did not care, he just knew this would make him important in Fallenbranch's gaze. She pinned her ears down. But of course, though it doesn't seem that... She felt pressured, confused. He tilted his head. Make a good choice for your clan. he pressured further. Very well, I will think about it, she sighed, raising her ears. A meeting will be had on this matter. Sharkbite nodded, mildly satisfied. This was all he could do, for now. Sharkbite sat up on the cliff, waiting patiently. Surely he would be given Tigerpaw. He would be the most useful to Fallenbranch in that way, the only cat that needed to be in on the plan. Sharkbite hopped down, planting himself in the clearing. Let all cats old enough to lurk in the shadows gather beneath the shaderock for a clan meeting. She frowned, expression stoic, yet with a tint of annoyance. Due to some choices that were made, I will be changing them to be more preferable to the rest of the clan. She started, looking down at Sharkbite for a quick moment. Sharkbite looked over at Fallenbranch with a skewed expression that read, "Look what I did." Looking towards Tigerpaw, she moved her gaze towards Maplepaw, raising her ears. One apprentice will be moved to another mentor. Maplepaw. Sharkbite's whiskers twitched. Maplepaw? Who?
Fallen approached at the mention of Sharkbite before giving a coy expression of surprise at this revelation.
Your new mentor will be Sharkbite. I do hope this change will be a well-made decision, she coughed, looking down towards the lively green grass. No. She liked Leafstorm. She enjoyed not being with a cat who terrified her like Copper or Sharkbite. Sharkbite begrudgingly stood, finding Maplepaw and patting over. She stared at Sharkbite, feeling upset this had been the cat chosen to mentor Maplepaw instead of her. She stared at it, wide, scarred eyes. This was the worst day of her life. I hope you find these circumstances profitable. He looked at the small cat. She nodded slightly, too scared to look at them in the eye. We'll train later, he dismissed, looking at Leafstorm for a moment with winning eyes. Sharkbite stayed silent, analyzing Fallenbranch.
Fallen looked to Shark and decided to toss him a bone of sorts. Great work on getting the apprentice. That will make you a lot more useful to the plan. He feigned pride to boost Shark's confidence.
Sharkbite gawked. Had he done something good, after all? His own plan hadn't worked. Maybe this was Fallenbranch's intention. He nodded, pride beaming from him.
Now, as initially intended, use your newfound apprentice to gain Tiger's trust.
Adderglow, he piped, again. We should train our apprentices together. He feigned a sense of excitement to be with Adderglow again. She smiled at him, cautiously. She was very confused by this whole thing. Oh, sure. Could be good to have them practice as a duo. Night hunting is good, too, he added. Good idea. I'll fetch them, he offered. She nodded, moving towards the exit. Maplepaw, Tigerpaw, he entered abruptly. Tigerpaw startled awake. We're going to get some night hunting done. Get up, Maplepaw. Night hunting! Awesome! Maplepaw, get up! She jostled awake at the mention of her name, ears immediately flattening at the sight of Sharkbite. Let's go. He didn't bother to inform them. Ready to go, he nodded. Great, let's head out. Adderglow, where do you think they should hunt? Near the marsh, maybe? Well, the burnt sycamore seemed to have a lot of prey hiding around there this morning. Perhaps we could start there? That's fine, he agreed. It was best to let Adderglow have a say. Adderglow and I will wait next to the burnt sycamore. Bring any prey back to us. She nodded. Right, that was a good idea. Spread out once we get to the tree, he instructed, patting. How have you been? He eventually broke the silence. She flicked her ear towards it, dipping her head. I've been good, she replied. And you? Maplepaw struggled as she dragged the rabbit around her own size back to the tree, placing it down gently before their mentor. Here, she spoke softly. Fine. He stopped cleaning. Maplepaw, he eyed. That is an amazing catch. She perked up, looking at the rabbit. Well done, she purred. A little pride filled her chest. At least she wasn't being yelled at. She looked out across the tree line, frowning. Now where was Tigerpaw? Perhaps Leaf did train this cat well. Sharkbite looked around a bit. Tigerpaw's kill was sloppy. He didn't anticipate the squirrel to be so close. He ran for the sycamore, happier than ever. That's nice, Tigerpaw. Pah! They spat the squirrel out. I tried to catch a frog, but it ran from me, he pouted. She seemed to beam as Taiga walked up, seeing his catch and barely containing happiness for him. Wow, that's amazing. Let's take all that back to camp and get some rest. Maple smiled as she picked the hair back up, pride filling her chest just a tad more. She sniffed, nodding. Yeah, then you can get some rest. You deserve it, she purred brightly. As she walked in, she let out a sneeze, scrunching up her nose. It was a pretty cold night. Good night, Adderglow, he called with a friendly tone. Good night, she called back, smiling. Sharkbite stretched, waking again. He padded out of the nest, noticing a sickly smell from Adderglow as he did. She got to her paws, stumbling towards the clearing. Adderglow? He tilted his head. Good morning, Shark. She stopped mid-sentence, breaking out into a coughing fit. He frowned. She sniffled, blinking tiredly. Ugh, I think I caught something, she mumbled, nose blocked. Tigerpaw walked towards their mentor. Hi, Adderglow. They looked to the side. And Sharkbite. Are you sure you're good to train today? His tail flicked, emotionless. Hey, Tigerpaw, she rasped. Yeah, no, I'm alright. I can... She coughed again, the force of it rattling her body. Sharkbite flinched. Abnormal for him. Fallenbranch, he called, timidly. Fetch Gritsnap.
Fallen stared. He said nothing before padding off.
I'm okay, she coughed, nodding. I wouldn't want Tigerpaw to fall behind on a day of training. Could you take him out with you? She mewed. Of course, Sharkbite nodded, glancing around. Later, though. I'll train them midday. Whoa, trained by Sharkbite? Tigerpaw found that concept exciting, but also intimidating. She nodded back, letting out another cough. Great, I'm gonna go to Gritsnap now, she meowed, getting to her paws and walking away in a daze. He nodded to Taiga, patting in search of wherever Fallenbranch had found himself.
So? He mewed, expectantly.
His whiskers switched. Tigerpaw is mine to train for today. Is that what you wanted? There was a mild annoyance in his tone, as Fallenbranch had refused to help Adderglow.
Yes. That suffices. Now for the real games to begin. Your task now is to kill the kid, and throw them on the Thunderpath. You'll know more soon enough.
Sharkbite seemed shocked, but quickly dulled his expression. He remembered the purpose of this, for his work with Fallenbranch. Okay.
Do be quick about it. Time is of the essence. And don't fail me.
The words rang in his head for a moment. Surely Fallenbranch couldn't hurt him, but injury wasn't the worry. It was letting someone down. He nodded and left the den in search of his apprentice. Maplepaw, he greeted. Hello, she greeted with a soft mew. Hi, Mr. Sharkbite. You'll be cleaning out some of the dens today. It's bothersome, but good for you to learn. He didn't mention Tigerpaw's training, intentionally. Oh, okay. At least it wasn't fighting. Have fun cleaning, Maplepaw, Tigerpaw teased a little. In all seriousness, you'll have awesome training soon. I believe in you. He waited for Maplepaw to leave before speaking to Tigerpaw. They couldn't know that Tigerpaw was with him today. He sighed a silent prayer to himself. We'll be doing a border patrol near the Thunderpath. Tigerpaw nodded. Okay, sir. He was a little nervous to be all alone this time, but it'd be fine, surely. Sharkbite nodded and turned, not waiting to see if they'd follow. Go ahead and check that border. I want to see how you handle that on your own. Then use your nose to find me. Tigerpaw nodded hesitantly. I'll do my best. Sharkbite sat behind the burnt sycamore. This was a good spot. Tigerpaw always went back here as a landmark. He'd have no idea what was waiting for him behind it. He waited, silently. Sharkbite? Tigerpaw called, looking for the cat. Sharkbite tensed, but his body forced him through it. He patted out. Sharkbite! I saw a monster! He took a step forward, biting into Tigerpaw's middle torso with uncomfortable ease. He bit down, snapping their spine while they spoke. Tigerpaw shrieked, and before anything could even happen, he was on the floor, the life out of his body. He lifted his head, picking up the apprentice and padding towards the path. Sharkbite lay down the body, much more respectfully than how he'd killed them. He stared blankly. He wasn't sure what was going on in his own head. He couldn't even hear it. Tundramask panted, stumbling over his paws as he followed his son's scent. Surely they were okay, right? The Tom froze. He let go of the cat scruff before turning, spotting the deputy, fresh blood still on his maw. He also froze. His words were merely a whisper, ear pinned to his head. There's no way he couldn't have. Sharkbite winced. There was only one way out of this for the both of them. Or one of them. Tigerpaw? The Tom murmurs frantically. They were the last he had of his mate, his family. He stepped back, offering for Tundra to meet his son. His claws unsheathed, digging at the ground. What did you do? The Tom deputy yowls in anguish. What happened? Be with him. He further tried to get the cat to come close. The Tom slowly padded over to Tigerpaw, or well, what was left of them. He couldn't even process anything, barely even able to accept the fact they're gone. He stared at the Tom with cold eyes, analyzing his build. Could he do this? He cried and cried, letting out a yowl in agony. Anger and frustration filled his mind as he sharply turned back at Sharkbite. You, Tundramask hissed, his voice cracking as he stood on his paws. You piece of dung. He stared unapologetically. It had to be infuriating. You let them die, he accused, fur bristling. I pray on every spirit in Starkland that your soul is damned to the worst and deepest part of the dark forest. Tundramask stared at the warrior's blood-stained paws. Was he mad to accuse him? What if he didn't mean it? He couldn't. Sharkbite let out a snarl, rearing up and slicing powerful claws across the deputy's face. You're a disgrace! You did this. You allowed this to happen. Everything is under your control, and this is what's standing in front of you still. Tundramask snarled in response, stumbling back as blood trickled down his face. His breath hitched, and he looked back at Sharkbite in disbelief. You're insane, he retorted sharply, his muscles stiffening. You're just sick. You don't deserve to be considered a warrior. Sharkbite tensed, leaping to the side and bowling over him, sending them both rolling with Sharkbite coming out on top. He stared down at the Tom's terrified eyes. You can wish hell on me all you want. He leaned down, drawing back his lips in a snarl, but your son wishes you were stronger. He lifted a powerful paw and sliced into the Tom's throat with no hesitance. Tundramask yowled in surprise, taken aback by the sudden attack. His claws dug into the feline's fur, but he couldn't get him off. The deputy wailed, his body letting out a spasm, causing him to fall limp on his side. He stepped off, snapping back into the reality of what he'd done. 2 cats were now dead before him. Sharkbite froze yet again. The plan. He ruined it.
Fallen said nothing as he stared blankly at the Tom before him.
He looked at the 2, then at Fallen.
Bravo! Bravissimo! His words laced with a flare of theatrics and more feigned pride. Your intuition is exactly how I estimated. To use the grief of a father to lure him in. Exactly how I pictured it.
Sharkbite swallowed as the praise washed over him. He didn't mean to do any of this. Had this been him? Was he this cold and calculated without ever meaning to be?
Well done, my dearest companion. Clean that smell off you and prepare for the fallout. He said nothing more before padding off.
Sharkbite swallowed again, but his maw was dry. He left the 2 bodies in the cold, doing as told. Sharkbite washed his paws in the water, scrubbing his fur harder than he needed to. He splashed his face and continued to scrub at his fur. Was he trying to wash off that guilt? He looked at himself in the water, his eyes dim as he turned away and back to camp. He walked in, feeling nothing. The cats around him, as far as he were concerned, weren't ever there. He sat. He wasn't sleeping tonight. Maplepaw. He jumped down, realizing they were there. Oh, hello. She mewed a bit weakly. You did good today, he assured. I just wanted to let you know I'm around again, and available for you. What's wrong? Do you know where Tigerpaw is? Usually they're in bed by now. Their eyes returned to the camp entrance, ignoring the comment. I don't, he commented, following their gaze to the camp exit. I'm sorry. Maybe they went to look after Adderglow in the medicine den. but it would be best not to bother them. Her shoulders relaxed a bit. They were right, sitting up and finally meeting Shark's gaze. How was your day? Boring, he feigned a chuckle. Fallenbranch had me doing some lame chores for him. I don't know why I listen to him sometimes. She giggled a little. Both of their days were boring, it seemed. Fallenbranch is your friend? I don't see them around much. Kind of, he chuckled again, but this time sincere. Maybe Maplepaw and him would get along. He's just a big, bossy cat, is all. Can I ask you something? Here he focused his gaze. You wanted Taiga as your apprentice, right? Her eyes didn't seem hurt, just asking. He shook his head. Fallenbranch seemed to think that's what was best for me, but I see now that you were the right choice, however disappointed I seemed. Her smile returned, seemingly the answer she wanted. I'm glad you're my mentor too. He gave off a purr. This was an odd feeling, one of comfort. He didn't answer verbally, though. A yawn left her maw. It was dark enough out that her eyes felt heavy. Good night, Sharkbite, she purred gently, starting to head back to the den, a new conviction in her chest. He stood, staring blankly at where Maplepaw was. Adderglow, he remembered. He then padded to the medicine den. Gritsnap, he paused, the medicine cat in his way.
Gritsnap stared at Sharkbite nervously, jumping a bit when the Tom called for his name. Yes, Sharkbite?
Adderglow, did you leave her alone in your den? Tigerpaw would be looking for her by now.
Adderglow is dead, Grit spoke, his tone laced with sadness. They died from black cough.
He blinked. Adderglow caught black cough from a late-night patrol? His tone wavered. That seemed impossible.
I don't know how it happened. Whatever it was, the late-night patrol was not the cause of the coughing, he spoke.
It happened so fast. Sharkbite took a moment to process what Gritsnap had said. Sharkbite was waiting to see if Gritsnap had anything to add, but he was interrupted by the sudden clamor behind him. Juniperstar, they're both dead, she yelled out with tears in her eyes, ears pinned down to her head. What? He padded into the clearing, his eyes meeting the leader's panic. Maplepaw, where was she? What happened? He panicked as Maplepaw screamed. Not them! Their throats scratched as they screamed. Her tail curled around her body as it shook from the sheer force of her wails. Sharkbite swallowed. The panic was spreading through the camp of what he'd done. He looked up to where Fallenbranch was. He was making no effort to prove that he wasn't involved. Maple's sobs continued as the tiredness set in. Pain shot through her as the loss was more than any nightmare they'd ever had. Sharkbite lay next to her, curling his tail around her and holding her in a tight hold. I'm so sorry, he wavered. She didn't know, but it was an actual apology. No, please, anyone but them, she begged to ears that fell deaf. Who could answer their pleas when the flash of his face plagued her closed eyes, leaning into Sharkbite, a lifeline? He licked the top of their head, pouting. She mumbled useless nothings, for nothing they could ever say would bring her best friend back. She stood up, breathing out shakily. We will all take time to grieve those losses, for these 2 deaths. They were uncalled for, she said, raising her head. They will both be missed, and they will never be forgotten. May Starkland let them rest. Let's get you in a nest, he offered to Maplepaw. Take some time to process this. Not a word left her maw, simply following the best that they could. He puffed up the nest a little before Maple lay down. It'll get better, a promise he couldn't make, but it's all he had to offer. Maplepaw simply closed her eyes, laying her head down on the bedding, fluffed up. She wanted to say something, but no words came out. He silently left the den, sitting in a secluded part of camp. Sharkbite stayed put until he heard the leader's call. What time was it now? He hopped down. Deputy call, of course. It was Fallenbranch, right? Due to the circumstances, I will be choosing a new deputy to assist our clan. Despite these grieving and terrible times, we must put the clan first.
Fallen sat up at the mention of deputy. For the first time, seeming to weirdly care about a meeting.
Sharkbite squinted, but couldn't hear Fallen from behind him. She turned her head, looking at Nyxlight with slight hope. Nyxlight, you are a courageous feline, whom we respect, and was always second best in choosing. He was shocked at what Fallenbranch said was true. What? Will you become our new deputy and help to rebuild this clan to keep us from falling deeper into the pit we have made for ourselves? She questioned with hope in her throat.
Fallen blinked, his expression unreadable as he padded off.
He flinched. This was supposed to be Fallenbranch. Was he angry? Sharkbite was. He redirected his attention to the frail leader that had made a mess of their clan. She nodded. Then take your place beside me as the new deputy of ShadowClan. Juniperstar looked around the camp, finally ending the meeting. Meeting dismissed. She leapt down the shade raw, all four paws landing down to the ground as she shredded to her den. Sharkbite followed the leader as she padded away. Juniperstar, he spoke bluntly. Sharkbite, she hummed, laying her paw down. How could you let this happen? He curled his lip. My apprentice is grieving a loss that came too soon. You've had 2 deputies in a moon. Let what happen? She asked, confused. Disaster. His gaze was cold. Under your leadership. Nothing under my leadership was a disaster, Sharkbite. How rude of you to assume me, she hissed back. You don't consider Tigerpaw's death to be a disaster next to his father? He snarled. How miserable. Do you even care? Sharkbite, cats die all the time. I can't protect every cat. All I can do is move on, and so should you. She stood up once more as her tail lashed, hissing loudly at the he-cat. You're failing, he said nearly in a tease as he approached her. You're old, and you're getting scared of what you'll lose. She stepped closer. And you believe you could talk? What did you do to help those cats who lost their lives? Nothing, like the useless warrior you are. That's not my job. Why are you projecting? He seemed to remain frustratingly calm. Her claws unsheathed. As a leader, it's just as much my job as it is yours to protect every clan cat. You should know this, Sharkbite. Your cowardice got them killed, Juniperstar. Sharkbite hit a nerve towards the she-cat, using her claw to strike at the cat's face, blinding them for a short amount of time as she used her large pelt to pin the cat down. He screeched, shoving his paws up and forcing her into the corner of the den. He paused, licking the blood off of his face as it trickled down his maw. He forced an angered emotion, hissing, and leaving the den quickly after the injury. Grit snap, he snarled, one eye forcefully shut by the gash.
Gritsnap walked forward to inspect the eye. What happened? He whispered, mostly to himself.
Sharkbite lifted a paw and grabbed the Tom's muzzle, pulling him forward and forcing his own face into Gritsnap's. Gritsnap, listen to me, and don't you dare say a word! Juniperstar did this to me. Juniperstar did everything, Gritsnap! He snarled and redirected anger towards the medicine cat. Her cowardice, her refusal to lead. She's frail and ignorant. Under her lead, too many cats have died to a so-called unknown cause. Get rid of her. You're the only cat who can.
Gritsnap's eyes widened at the demand. What? He asked, his voice strained by the grab.
Sharkbite shoved his paw forward roughly, throwing Gritsnap down to the ground a fair distance away, his head hitting the ground first. Exile her. Say StarClan told you to. The clan is dying, Gritsnap. His wound was bleeding heavier now.
Gritsnap looked down, before trembling to his paws. He whispered to StarClan, "Forgive me," before he padded down to the clearing.
Fallen sees Shark's injuries. He blinks, then turns to the medicine cat.
Gritsnap released a shaky exhale. All cats old enough to lurk in the shadows, come down for a clan meeting. His voice laced with feigned confidence. He continued to speak, gulping as he lied. I have spoken with StarClan, and they agree that Juniperstar has led our clan into turmoil and ruin. I hereby announce that Juniperstar is exiled as the leader of ShadowClan.
He nodded slightly to himself with no outward emotion.
Gritsnap stared at Juniperstar, his eyes speaking an unspoken apology before staring at the rest of the clan.
Her ears perked up at the sudden news regarding her, worried as she looked around the camp and then back to Gritsnap. Chase her out, he snarled, annoyed at the lack of urgency from his clanmates.
Fallen sat unfazed and watched.
What? This has to be a misunderstanding, she whined out. You failed, he repeated at the fallen leader. He stepped back, letting the clan handle her.
With Juniperstar's exile, he continued abruptly. Nyxlight is the next leader for Shadow Clan.
Nyxlight, he chanted. He would walk up to the rock in honor. He watched. Since Juniperstar still had her lives, Nyxlight would have none. He looked over at Fallenbranch for reassurance.
The semblance of a grin began to form on Fallen's face.
Since I am now the leader, I must appoint a deputy, he would announce.
Fallen approached slyly and sat down closer to the rock.
He would remember what Fallenbranch had said to him. Fallenbranch, you have been loyal to this clan and a good warrior. Would you like to become my deputy?
It would be my honor. He dipped his head.
Sharkbite dipped his head. Finally. Then you are now my deputy, he said, almost like a favor he had done for him.
Fallen said nothing as he approached and sat down.
Sharkbite followed. This was his victory, too.
Fallen said nothing as he padded off with Sharkbite to follow. You seem surprised.
Everything that has happened told me that this had become something out of your control. Things that you didn't intend to happen, but you still won. How?
Fallen relaxed as his ego sprue across his face, with a grin stretching ear to ear. Of course, this was all a part of the plan. He chuckled at the thought of somehow not being in control. Did you really think it coincidence that Tundra just so happened to stumble across you tossing his only kit to Thunderpath like a rotten kill? No. That was me. Fallenbranch said nothing as he approached from behind, undetected, and sat next to the deputy. The Tom paused, lifting his head. Oh, hi. Tundramask. His voice trailed. Your son is in dire danger by the Thunderpath. He needs you. Tundramask's eyes widened. What? His fur stood on end immediately. Where? Who? How? Questions ran through his mind, frantic. What could have happened to him? Go to him. He said nothing of how he knew, but his tone laced with confidence and finality. Please tell me Tigerpaw's okay. Tundramask hissed frantically. He prayed but nodded to Fallenbranch's words. He had to get his son. Or when I planted seeds of this plan somehow failing, coupled with resentment building against our poor Juniperstar, causing me to lash out at both our leader and Medicine Cat, me again. Or even when you, dear Sharkbite, felt so left out that you wouldn't be as useful to me as Adderglow, so you got yourself an apprentice. That only made it easier for you to kill Tiger. Becoming deputy was the easiest part, really. I simply overheard Juniper mumbling to herself who her next choice would be, and made Nyx think I had something to do with it. Fallen approached in a veil of silence and sat next to Nyxlight. He would see a cat sit next to him, but he really didn't care. Hi? He said, wondering why they were sitting next to them. We should have a little chat. Follow along. He said nothing more as he sat up and padded off for Nyx to follow. I know times are tough, but I did want to let you in on a little secret. Okay. He was a little bit skeptical, but decided to listen. I may have done some whispering and pulled a few reeds, and I wanted to let you know, early, that you will be our next deputy. Deputy? No way. That's impossible. Don't be surprised. You'd be an excellent candidate. I mean, who better than you to lead the future of our great clan through these trying times? I mean, I don't think that will happen. After all, he was never that important to anyone. Don't put yourself down so much. But I understand your skepticism. Just don't be surprised when Juniperstar calls your name. He would sigh, still skeptical. Fine, I'll take your word for it. But it likely won't happen. Good to hear, Deputy o' mine. I look forward to working with you. He dipped his head before padding out. Truly, it was all so elementary. He chuckled once more.
He felt anger perk at his pelt. He was played like a pawn, but this wasn't over yet. What else is there to do?
And here you go again, always ready to serve. Truly a remarkable creature. So desperate to be seen, you'll do anything. But you're right. One last step must be done. Your dear apprentice must be killed. We need to implicate Nyx of murder so that I can reign as leader, with you as my deputy, of course.
And that would be the end of it, either by Fallenbranch's call, or his. He barely even realized what he was being asked to do. He nodded silently.
Then go. Let's make this quick. All this planning has made me, oh, so tiresome of waiting.
Yes, he hummed, padding away and leaving his dread behind. Maplepaw. Her eyes shot open. Please come hunting with me, to get our minds off of this. He glanced to the clearing. Okay, they got up to follow.
Fallen slipped into the medicine den to retrieve some poppy seeds. Carefully, Fallen slipped the seeds into the rabbit before padding to Nyxstar. Oh, hi, Fallen. Leader o' mine. You seem restless. Please eat. I insist. Nyx was very hungry. Okay, sure. You should get some rest. I'll take care of things while you're taking your much-deserved slumber. Oh, okay. After all, he felt tired. He walked to the leader's den. Fallen followed behind. He would lay down, super tired all of a sudden. He sat outside, patiently awaiting Shark's arrival.
This log, here. He looked to it, then back at Maplepaw. I will be sitting up here, waiting for you. Bring me back the first thing you catch. Maple tilted her head, but shrugged it off, used to Sharkbite's weird antics. He slipped into the nearby bush. In his mind, he wasn't even here. Sharkbite! Look, I caught a... She paused, her brow furrowing when they were nowhere to be found. He stepped out, and in the same manner he'd killed Tigerpaw, he bit into the apprentice's midsection and shook them. She squealed as pain shot through her body. He didn't stop until she fell limp, a silent sobbing coming from him when she did. This will be over soon, he promised. It was a promise he was making to himself. He picked up her body, gently, in the same maw that he'd used to maul her. He carried her back. He set the body down, readjusting to carry her by the scruff. Sharkbite threw Maplepaw into the den roughly, right by the sleeping leader. He looked at Fallenbranch.
Well, another job well done. Now, let's watch our murderer face the music. Everyone, he yelled. Something horrible has happened. Head to the leader den to see for yourself. He ran off in preparation.
He stayed silent, staring blankly as the cats rushed past him.
Feast your eyes! Our leader has slain a poor, innocent apprentice. Whoa. What's happening? He was confused. See the blood on his fur. He murdered Maplepaw. What? No! I'm being framed! That despicable monster tried to claim otherwise. Don't believe a whisk of his lies. This man murdered in cold blood. I say it's time to seek some revenge. Kill him. All of you. Slaughter him now like he did our dear apprentice. He'd pat out as the cats stormed Nyx. He chuckled to himself once more at the carnage before padding off. I'm a man of my word. You are my deputy. I'll see you when I return from the Moonstone.
He followed with still wide eyes.
Fallen paused, taking a moment to take in the stone. In all her glory. He pressed his nose against the stone, lying down with his eyes closed, waiting for sleep to overtake.
He spat curses at the Tom before charging and leaping at him, nailing him in the spine and forcefully rolling him onto his back to face him.
What? He spat, staring at the Tom, confused. You wouldn't. You can't. I thought of this. For the first time, fear crossed Fallen's face.
You can't control me anymore. He didn't seem angry. He seemed satisfied, like this was a natural consequence for Fallenbranch.
Fallen paused and resigned. Uncontrollable laughter ensued.
Do you really find this so funny? He wrinkled his nose. You're going to die, and all you can do is laugh.
It's because, even now, you're doing nothing more than a frail attempt to escape my grasp. Killing me does nothing but ensure you'll never be anything more than a pawn. He laughed once more as a smug grin stretched across his face.
He let out a pained yowl of anguish as he reared up a powerful paw and sliced across the Tom's neck. It was the only way to stop the taunt of a laugh ringing in his ears.
His laughter cut short. His body fell limp. But even as his eyes became dull, that grin, it stayed on his lifeless body. A face Shark will never forget.
He stepped off with a slight tumble, finally feeling a sense of tiredness after everything that he'd been put through. He stared at the lifeless, yet still hauntingly smiling body of Fallenbranch. He weakly tumbled over to the other side of the Moonstone, touching his nose to a flat part of it before collapsing.